Hello, this is Kathy Disney. I am juror number 5. After reviewing the testimony by the plaintiff and the defendant, I find that the plaintiff's protected health information was not violated in any way. There was no HIPAA violation as well. I believe an authorization was obtained by the defendant from the plaintiff, letting the plaintiff know exactly what their PHI would be used for. The document had to include key elements and required statements as well. I believe that the plaintiff should have read completely the consent before signing, and if there was any questions, she should have asked the defendant at that time. I believe once she gave her consent was valid, and the defendant could use her PHI for a research study and could have a third party also call her in regards to the current research that that defendant was going to do. According to the privacy rules, the consent had to include a description of the PHI that will be used and or disclosed, the name or specific information, identification of persons authorized to make the request, use, and disclosure. I believe that the consent also included the names or specific identification of the persons who may use the PHI or to whom the covered entity may make the requested disclosure to. The purpose of the research was disclosed. It was going to be for a current research that the defendant was doing. I do not believe that the defendant gathered any of the information for any future research study that they were going to conduct. The authorization did have an expiration date. The plaintiff should have been fully aware of the fact that her information would be used up until the end of the research. The plaintiff had at any time a right to revoke her authorization in writing, either with the exceptions to the right to revoke and the description of how the individual may revoke the authorization, or referencing to the corresponding sections of the cover entity notice of private practices. So that I believe that the plaintiff knew that she could revoke her right at any time. The researcher would have only been able to use her information up until the time that her authorization was revoked. I believe that the plaintiff again should have read clearly what the document was stating and how her information would be used. I believe the defendant was well within their rights to use the plaintiff's PHI accordingly.